Hi, everybody. So I wanted to go over a quick overview of the final research essay prompt and how this essay is going to be different than your other essays. So you can go ahead and follow along with this sort of overview handout, and there are different links that are going to be embedded in this page as well. So let's start at the top where it says, let's look at the final research essay prompt. I've got mine open over here, but go ahead and click on that. And so you'll see right off the bat, it's 250 points. So this could really help boost your grade if you're looking to do that. And with the background, you can see that the starting off point for us is going to be the book, Between Two Kingdoms. But really what we're doing at the final research essay is using the universal themes that are sort of brought up in the book as our jumping off point. So the idea of health, wellness, science, the medical community, relationships, healing, identity, we can throw recovery in there. And even though it's happening to a particular person, Suleika, really these are universal themes that you can then do research on as well and layer that research onto your overall argument. The other sort of minimum criteria that you want to pay attention to is that it's now going to be 2,000 words. It says 8 pages, but the word count supersedes the page count. So you want to go by the word count primarily. And we'll go over how the essay is going to be laid out in a minute, but let's go over the prompt choices. So looking at those universal themes, you kind of want to see which of those themes resonates with you, and then hopefully one of these prompts will sort of sync up with that. So the first one is about the idea, I would say, of sort of wellness and illness. So I think Suleika does a really good job of showing us the porous nature of how we define what it means to be well and sick. I mean, really that speaks to the title of the book, Between Two Kingdoms. So if you want to delve into that and really explore perhaps if we should be redefining our ideas about wellness, what it means to be well, this could be emotional, physical, mental. There could be different angles you could take for that. You could even discuss if there should be changes to the broader scientific community. This prompt would connect to that. Now, the next two are about recovery and identity. It's really about perhaps the transition, the journey that she goes on, and let's look at sort of the difference. So number 2, I think, is sort of just a broader question. And again, you could take this in multiple different angles. How do different kinds of recovery? So again, you could use Suleika's journey as a starting point for medical, but you could also layer on different kinds of recovery, psychological, physical, emotional, affect a person's identity. So if we go through sort of a healing journey, how does that sort of impact a new forged identity? Number 3, I would say, is probably the most straightforward. So if you're looking for one to sort of grab onto of like, aha, this is a really clear-cut one, I would suggest number 3. So which factors impacted Joad's recovery the most? Furthermore, which factors impact most people's recovery? So if you're looking at sort of what helped her along her journey, which 2, 3, 4 factors do you think really made the difference? Was it receiving really good medical treatment, her social and maybe familial support system, her outlook, her perseverance, the fact that she had youth on her side? Was there privilege involved, the financial ability to get really good medical care? So these are all sort of specific factors that you could break down in the argument. And then I wanted to sort of include, how do you see her road trip and the lessons she learned connected to what we've been through as a society over the last couple of years? So if that's interesting to you, kind of bigger societal connections, number 4 might be interesting to you. So why was Joad's solo road trip so important to her recovery and identity? How do the main ideas and lessons in the book relate to any lessons learned or revelations that emerge from the pandemic? So we've got all sorts of choices here, but I also want to give you a little bit of creative freedom. So number 5, you can also craft your own final essay prompt. You just want to run it by me. And you can also create a hybrid. So if you want to pick and choose from a couple of these, just run that by me as well. So let's take a look at a sample outline, and that will sort of cover what are some of the ways that it's different. So let me go over a couple of those ways and then we'll take a look at the outline. So because this is a longer essay, you're going to be crafting a more expanded argument. So one of the ways you get there is that now your introduction can be 1 or 2 paragraphs, this time depending on how much background information you have to cover, but your thesis will still go at the end of your second intro paragraph if you do have 2 introductory paragraphs. The biggest difference, well, there are probably 2 big differences, but the first big difference is that instead of just having 1 paragraph for your point, so if you have a point, you develop that paragraph for that. This time your points are going to fit into a section, so we'll take a look at that. And also this time you're going to be doing outside research. The other difference is you might want to consider a counter argument. It's not required, you're not graded down if you don't have it, but this is a way to expand your argument. So I'm just including some suggestions here of where does it go and how to actually formulate a counter argument. So remember, a counter argument is where you look at the opposition's point of view and then loop back around to why ultimately they are not correct. So let's take a look. This is the template that you're going to be filling out, but let's take a look at a sample outline that kind of will hopefully show you how the ideas are going to be a little bit different. So I put together a really basic one so that hopefully you can improve on it when you do your own, but that gets the point across. So when you get the template, you're going to copy over which research question you want to do. You basically just copy it over word for word, and then you're going to craft your answer to that. So like I said, prompt number 2, or let's go back here. It's under the second category, but it's actually probably prompt number 3. So let me change that. When you look at which factors impacted Jawad's recovery, that's probably going to be the most straightforward. So I picked that one because I think that's a good example to show. So my sample thesis is through Suleika Jawad's journey through leukemia, we see the impact of a stalwart support system, resilient mindset, and proper medical treatment on one's recovery from an illness. So those are the 3 things that if I were writing this, I would be focusing on: support system, mindset, and medical treatment. So I didn't go over the ideas in the introductory paragraph, but as I would be crafting this, I would consider, do I want to have enough information to go over just 1 introductory paragraph? I would imagine, looking at this thesis, probably 1 intro paragraph would cover it. But what I really want to focus on is how do you actually start to break down your big ideas? So instead of just having 1 paragraph for your first idea, you're now going to have a section. So it actually helps you to put a big title here. You can actually leave this in your final essay. So my first idea is her support system. And now you want to break this down into a couple of paragraphs. So you might have 2, you might have 3, you actually might have 4. So you want to start to break these down. I just did 2 so I can show you the difference. So you want to think about, okay, what points can you make about her support system? And then what are some overall ideas you can make about how a support system might help somebody's illness? So my first point is about the book. Suleika's good fortune of an unwavering support network through her arduous leukemia treatment shows how important the support of loved ones is during a prolonged illness. So this is about her, and then I would find a quote from the book and explain that quote. But then I would move on to a more general paragraph that would be supported by research. So not only are we just looking at what happened to Suleika, but then we want to look at, okay, but how is this an important issue to all of us? So then I would move on to, in fact, a support system is a necessary component of healing and recovery during an unexpected medical crisis. So this is an idea that I'm saying is important, not just to the book, but to all of us. And then I would find a quote from the library database that supports that we all need people around us. It's an important part of healing and recovery. So you start with the book and then you move on beyond the book to explain why this is a big issue to all of us. So you could add another paragraph if you feel like you want to add more research. You could add another paragraph about the book. This is just sort of the basics. So I'm not going to read through all of the sections, but I'm just showing you this is the format. So I want to encourage you to look through the sample outline and show you that I did the same thing for mindset and resilience. There's a paragraph about the book. and a paragraph about outside research. And then moving on to excellence of care, there's a paragraph about the book and a paragraph about the outside research. So you could also incorporate a paragraph that's a counter argument. So I was thinking, looking at this one, you could do a counter argument about mindset, that some people say, even if you have positive thinking, that might not make that much of a difference. You could include a counter argument here too. And so this is how you're going to get to a longer essay. So the last thing I want to go over is that you do want to include outside research, as I mentioned, and there are different resources on our Canvas page, but I'm also linking here how to search WVC library databases. There's a YouTube tutorial page, basically how to use different search terms, and I will also be including the librarian contact information and be offering different office hours for myself as we get started. But this is a good sort of first step. Okay, so this is sort of the quick overview to hopefully get your feet into the project. More information to come, and I look forward to seeing everybody's brainstorms and beginning discussions as we get into this final unit. See y'all later.